Morning and welcome. So if you could introduce yourself and tell us, what subjects did you do at Sixth Form College?
So I'm Deia and I did English literature, modern history and fine art.
And so what are you studying and where are you studying now?
So I'm studying joint honours history and English at Regent's Park College in Oxford.
You're just finishing your second year and going into your third year, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Fantastic. So tell us, when you went to Sixth Form College, did you always aspire to go to a top university?
No, definitely not. I mean, neither of my parents went to university. So I think I didn't even want to go to university until I came to Sixth Form. So it was kind of a complete shock when I came to Sixth Form that I really wanted to go. And I went to a Steiner school, which is quite a unusual school. Don't do many GCSEs. It's kind of more of an alternative form of education. And I didn't really get the best GCSE results. So I wasn't necessarily sure that I was aiming that high. And then I just felt that I really loved my subjects, especially kind of late first year, going into my second year. And because I took both history and English at A level, and I really felt like, I really wanted to carry both of those subjects on. So it was kind of, just a decision to carry on those subjects, really. In terms of going for Oxford, I really think it was Sixth Form that kind of pushed me to go in that direction, because there's such wonderful teachers at Sixth Form, and I guess that was one of the reasons why I thought it was going to be possible.
And so how did you find your three subjects supported each other?
So strangely, I felt like art was my hardest subject. Actually, you have to put in so many hours. I had to spend so many lunchtimes in the art room, massive big final pieces, and it was so much more time consuming than either of my other subjects. But I found, because history and English complemented each other so well, both during periods in the 20th century, kind of historicising some of the literary works and stuff, it was kind of easy for them to complement each other. And then I kind of did the groundwork and spent a lot of time on my art to try and get it up to speed.
Did you do an EPQ as well?
Yes, I did in wartime literature of the First World War. And that was really interesting because, again, that was history and English in my EPQ. And I was actually asked about that EPQ in my Oxford interview, and they were very impressed that I'd already bridged that gap between the interdisciplinary element beforehand. And obviously you get so much help from you and the other EPQ teachers that's such a great thing for students to do.
Fantastic. And I think that's exactly it. And what I always say to students who are considering the kind of top universities or medicine is actually that ability to show that you bridge the gap between different subjects. And also, I think at interview, a lot of our students find that they get taken to, first of all, some things they can do and they might know about, and then their interview often takes them beyond their comfort zone into something they don't know. So what was your Oxford interview like?
Yeah, it was very much like that. I think an Oxford tutor told me when I got my offer that if you don't feel uncomfortable in your interview, you haven't done very well, because the whole point of it is they're pushing your boundaries constantly and they're trying to get you to achieve the best that you can achieve. And even if you can't maybe answer the later questions, the fact that you're maybe thinking about it or you're kind of making some room and some legwork in it, they really like that. So if you feel like you've answered every question perfectly, that's not necessarily a good thing. Whereas if you come out feeling a little bit more, I'm uncertain here, I wasn't sure what that meant, then you've really pushed your boundaries and your comfort zone.
I absolutely agree. And I think that's the other thing that's quite good about students who are probably working a lot from home and having to do a lot of independent work now, is that actually that kind of independence is exactly what you are asked to do at university, isn't it? And I think that's something that the students who are in year 12 at the moment will be really good at, kind of motivating themselves and pushing themselves to keep going at things. So you had to sit an admissions test, is that right?
Yeah, so I sat the history, it's called the HAT test, and basically that gets given to both departments, and the English department also kind of, look at your work and see that you're capable from that.
And did you also have to send off written work as well?
Yeah, so I had to send off 3 essays, 2 for history, 1 for English.
Good. Now, when you were at Sixth Form College, you said it kind of all started to come together at the end of the first year. Tell us about the journey of your 2 years at Sixth Form College. Did you always do brilliantly, or were there points when you kind of had to pick yourself up and carry on? How did you find your first year process?
I definitely think that starting sixth form was a big jump from me, and I kind of felt like in up until kind of maybe this time in my first year, I was a bit all over the place, and I didn't really know what was going on, to be honest, and I was kind of just doing the work where I was not really engaging with it that much. And I think towards the end of your first year, things start to fall into place, and you realise that actually this is doable, and it becomes so much more manageable when you get yourself in that mindset and you get yourself thinking, well, actually, I can do these subjects, I'm really good at these subjects, and I really love them. And then it all becomes so much easier in the second year once those things fall into place.
And then tell us about your course. How did you choose the universities you chose? And how did you decide to do an art subject? Why an art subject? Often I get asked, where will this lead to for a job? Why would I do an art subject? How did you choose, and why did you choose your subjects?
Yeah, I think that's again kind of like a bit of a stereotype that arts degrees are not really that useful and you can't get employed from doing an English degree. Whereas, that's just not true at all, because so many employers look for creativity, innovative thinking, thinking outside the box and things like that, which are all things that come from art degrees. And the other thing is if you can demonstrate that you can really put yourself in the degree and you can really enjoy it and you can really, thrive off of that degree, it doesn't necessarily matter what you study. It just matters that you can transfer those skills onto whatever job you go on to do. So I definitely think that if an arts degree is your passion, if you want to study one of those things, do it.
Very important question. I have heard it say that Oxford students have no fun, nose to the grindstone, head in a book, you are chained to your desk 24/7. Is this true, Deia?
No, it's not. Especially in your first year, there is a lot of freedom to do a lot of stuff and join societies and sport and all the rest of it. I mean, a lot of people choose in their second year to really start working hard because they want the degree at the end.
And tell us about college life. Did you apply for Regent's Park? And how does the whole college thing work? How does the teaching work? What's it like? Tell us about that.
So no, I didn't apply for Regent's Park. I applied to Corpus Christi. But when you apply, you choose a college, but really they can allocate you wherever. It definitely doesn't matter if you don't get into the college that you chose, because you're always going to find great people wherever you are. How it kind of works is you get assigned teachers within your college, so they're your tutors for the whole of your degree. And you'll get one for every subject you do. So say you do PP, you'll get one for politics, philosophy and economics. But then you can get assigned to do papers with tutors outside of your college. So often they'll try and send you to the best person on the topic. And if there's only 7 of you in your class, you could be with the leading expert on something and you could get to discuss that every week, which is something that's so amazing about Oxford.
That's fantastic. Sounds like a really exciting opportunity. And also that's a really good test, is if you would like to sit down with someone who loves their subject and you love the subject and you want to sit down with a kind of world leading expert and you like kind of being really grilled on your ideas and really discussing your ideas, if you learn in dialogue, it's actually a really good way to test whether you'd like that degree. Okay, so what would you suggest, if you were in year 12, what would you suggest they do to perhaps start thinking about subjects and start thinking about personal statements? What would you recommend they do?
So I think for the personal statement, what you really need to show is that you love the subject. And to do that, you need to have done at least some reading around the subject outside of your A-level texts and reading a little bit around what you're intending on studying. If you don't know what you want to study yet, then I think maybe perhaps think about your A-levels and think about, is there one of those subjects that you really want to carry on? And that was the case for me, was I didn't want to give up either history or English, so I decided to do both. But there are plenty of people who go from kind of those subjects and do study law or politics and history and something like that. So I definitely think about reading, think about watching some documentaries, some programs, keeping up with the news, stuff like that, and what really interests you, because you're going to have to show in that personal statement that you want to study that subject for the next 3 years. And that's what they really want to see.
So any final hints and tips there before we finish? Any final hints and tips?
I would definitely say for both personal statement and for your interviews, don't be afraid to be like a little bit argumentative. I think some people can be a little bit tentative and a bit backward in coming forward, when really your Oxford tutors want to see that you take a passionate and quite a hard stance on some of the questions that you might be given. For example, in your personal statement, if you have kind of a really, bad reaction to a book or something, and you think, I don't like this argument, this guy's an idiot and all of this, then include that in your personal statement in a more academic way, but include that in your personal statement, because they want to see that you have that reaction to scholarship. And if that happens again in your interview, again, that's a really great way to show that you're really engaging with the work and the scholarship around it.
Well, Deia, it's been so nice to catch up, and thank you so much for your ideas and your insights. So thank you.